The first time Lyra saw her, the air in the council chamber seemed to freeze. She wasn't supposed to notice him. He was just a translator, a junior assistant, lost among diplomats in polished black uniforms and chrome insignias. Yet the alien stepped forward, her presence swallowing the room whole. Her hair shimmered silver under the overhead lights, flowing over armor that looked alive, almost organic. She had eyes like polished amethyst, cold and beautiful, unblinking as they scanned the hall. "You," she said, the single word cutting through chatter and protocol alike. The translator froze. His heart hammering, throat dry. He had read every file about her, Commander Sir, the Empress of the Valanthi, and knew her reputation. Brilliant, lethal, and merciless. Yet there she was, walking straight toward him. Up close, she was massive, towering over most humans, with skin that gleamed pale blue under the chamber lights. She smiled, a slow, deliberate, predatory smile that made his pulse jump. "You stare too long," she murmured, her claws lightly tracing the edge of his jaw. Fear should have frozen him, but beneath it something stirred. Curiosity. Defiance. Desire. I'm not disrespecting you," he stammered. She laughed, a low, dangerous sound that vibrated through him. "Perhaps not. Or perhaps you don't realize which danger you are courting." She turned and left the hall, but one glance over her shoulder, one fleeting smile, and he knew his life was changing. 3 days later, he was reassigned as her personal translator. The Valanthi flagship, an enormous ship that looked like black steel grown into impossible shapes, became his new home. Every corridor smelled faintly of ozone and something floral, her presence. "You came," she said when he entered her quarters, emerging from shadows. Her armor was gone, replaced with a flowing garment that revealed subtle scales along her shoulders. She held a glass of dark liquid. He approached cautiously. Electricity shot through him when their fingers brushed as he took the glass. She studied him closely, violet eyes piercing through his thoughts. "Drink," she said. "I want to see what makes a human brave, or foolish." By the third glass, he laughed at her stories. By the fifth, he realized he was no longer thinking of her as a commander or an alien predator. He was thinking of her as something else, someone he wanted to understand, to be near, even as danger surrounded her. Days blurred into weeks. He learned her habits. She drank her morning scalding hot, read human poetry in secret, and sometimes stared at the stars for hours. He learned her moods, the slight tension in her jaw before anger, the softening around her eyes when amused. And each time she looked at him, something in his chest shifted. One night, alone in her quarters, the whispers of the fleet around them, he spoke. "They say you keep me as a pet. That you'll kill me when bored." Her expression darkened. "Dangerous. Do you believe it?" "I don't know," he admitted. She moved faster than he could follow, pressing him against the wall. Her claws pressed near, not to harm, but to remind him how small he was. "My people don't love like yours," she growled. "We claim. We consume. To claim you would mean all of you, and there would be no return." Fear clawed at him, but so did something else. Courage. Desire. He whispered, "Then I want to be claimed." For the first time, her control faltered. Something new flickered across her expression, something dangerous and raw. The night ended with a kiss, gentle and reverent. Her claws cradled his face like he was fragile, precious. He realized the predator he feared was learning a new language too, a language of trust, of choice, of something humans called love. But peace would not last. 3 nights later, alarms blared. An assassination attempt had breached the flagship. Sir moved like a silver storm, every movement precise and lethal. Screams echoed as she tore through intruders, leaving bodies scattered. Blood streaked her side, yet her eyes never left his. "I'm here," he said, trembling. "You're hurt." "They came for you," she hissed. "To hurt me through you. I'm okay. I only care that you are." In the aftermath, amidst blood and chaos, he whispered the word that had come to define their bond, love. She flinched but repeated it, testing it, tasting it, learning it. And in the stars outside, indifferent and eternal, 2 beings from different worlds began something impossible, together. The next weeks were a storm. Diplomacy gave way to strategy. The Valanthi fleet had enemies in every sector, and a human translator who dared understand an empress became both a liability and a key asset. He worked at her side, translating complex strategies, anticipating threats, and learning to read her moods as he once read her poetry. But whispers followed him. "You are a toy, a spy, a human who will die." Sir did not care. She tested him, trained him, and sometimes watched him as if gauging whether humans could truly match Valanthi courage. Then the real threat came, a coalition of alien clans seeking to capture the Empress and claim her power. The flagship became a fortress under siege. Explosions rattled through corridors. Sir moved like a phantom, claws striking faster than eyes could follow, yet always returning to him, shielding him, pulling him close even as chaos surrounded them. One evening, as fire alarms blared and the ship groaned, he found her in the command deck, a gash across her arm. "We can evacuate," he said, panic rising. "No," she snapped. "We fight. If I fall, everything falls." He realized then the truth of her world: power, survival, dominance, but also loyalty, trust, and a fragile capacity for love. "Then I fight with you," he said. Battle raged. He relayed commands, patched wounds, and at one point, saved a squad of Valanthi soldiers by using tactics he learned from human military manuals. Sir noticed. Her eyes softened in awe, then sharpened with pride. Hours turned into days. Allies were lost, enemies crushed, and through it all, they survived, together. He saw the Empress not as a predator, not as a ruler, but as someone capable of fear, hope, and attachment. After the battle, in the quiet aftermath, he found her on the observation deck, staring at the stars. Blood still streaked her silver armor, yet her presence was calm, fragile in a way he had never seen. "I could have lost you," she whispered. "You didn't," he said. "You kept me." She looked at him, vulnerability and desire mingling in her gaze. "And you could have run. Your people would have made you leave." "I chose to stay," he said. "Every moment, even knowing it could get me killed, I choose to stay." Sir studied him for long moments. Then, slowly, she moved forward and pressed her forehead to his. "Then, we will see if humans can love like we do." Days later, the fleet held a council. The galaxy watched as the Empress and her human translator stood together. Allies whispered, enemies gaped. No one understood this bond. No one had ever seen such audacity, such bravery, such humanity. And yet, it was simple in the end. They chose each other. Not as possession, not as conquest, but as equals, daring to bridge species and empires, proving that courage, compassion, and love could exist even in a galaxy ruled by war. Sir's people began to whisper the word madness, while humans called it miracle. They didn't care. They had found something greater than survival, greater than power. They had found each other. And among the indifferent stars, the human and the alien Empress walked forward together, a new future blazing before them, a future born of courage, choice, and the undeniable power of humanity.